and welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Sophie and today we are doing an interview with Brandon Moore, the author of The Bet Between Us. I'd like to start with congratulations to Brandon. He has recorded the answers to my questions today, so you will get to see him and meet him. I'd like to say congratulations. His debut novel, The Bet Between Us, is currently out now, and I bet he can't believe he's finally done it, because I can't believe he's finally done it. I met Brandon on Instagram and we became really good friends, and ever since I've followed his journey and he's following mine, so I hope you enjoy listening to him as much as I did.
Hi everyone, thank you for having me, Sophie.
Would you like to tell everyone where they can buy The Bet Between Us?
You can buy The Bet Between Us from pretty much everywhere. Amazon, Kindle, Kobo, a bunch of other places, Barnes & Noble, Nook. So yeah, you pretty much have a good amount of choices there. I'm working on towards getting it on Google Play, but it's not there yet, but it will be in the future.
Guys, that's a lot of places to buy The Bet Between Us, so please Google it and please buy, because it is an amazing read. Here is Brandon's book. I mean, look at the cover, it's really beautiful. Can you see it? That's inside and the back. So we're going to do question and answer time now. Are you ready, Brandon?
And yeah, I'm ready. I'm ready to go. Let's go.
So, Brandon, when did you start writing?
So I started writing when I was 6 years old. I was in the first grade.
6 years old? That's amazing.
And we got an assignment from my teacher, Mrs. Trout. And she had us write something. I don't know if it had to be a story, but it was around Halloween, so I was really starting to get into like goosebumps and stuff, so I started to write a story about werewolves, and it was horrible, but I got a good grade on it anyway. I guess Miss Trout showed me some some pity, but yeah, that's pretty much when I started writing. With my dad, he loved to tell stories, so with that and the inspiration from him, my grandmother, everybody, it was just a natural thing. Like, I loved to write early on, and I just kept on doing it. The odd thing is, like, I kind of like stopped and go as I grew older. Like, things would get in the way, but then I would come back to it, and so it's like seems like it's just like kind of meant to be. So yeah, that's just pretty much it. I just 6 years old, and pretty much it was history after that.
What authors have inspired you writing the most?
So like, this is gonna be like a cheesy answer. To be honest with you, like the authors that have inspired me writing the most are actually, like, early on, I like I said, I read a lot of R.L. Stein. I read the Harry Potter books.
The Harry Potter books are amazing.
Probably someone you've never heard of is Thomas J. Dygert. He wrote this book called Halfback Tough. There's actually a lot of inspiration in The Bet Between Us, especially, like, specifically in the sports section of the book. There's like a lot of that in there. But honestly, like, really, like, I just always kind of wrote my own style, I believe. And really, I was inspired more by movies and, like, directors and writers like Quentin Tarantino. And, like, in video games, like Hideo Kojima. Those are, like, really actually bigger than authors. But to be honest, and this is where it gets to the cheesy part, is people like you and the people that I've gotten to meet in the author community, in the writing community, have been amazing. Like, every day I see them doing their thing, I see you doing your thing, and it makes me want to do better, and it makes me want to be the best writer that I could be. People like Jordan, people like Jam Ivy, people like Josh Langlois, Kim Salvatore, Kathleen Cantine, all of them, like Dave Ayala. They all have like a huge inspiration and motivate me to do better. Just them amazing people that I've gotten to meet. Jenna Moresi, once I finished my first book, like she became like a huge because she's how I discovered y'all and everything on Instagram. So like she's huge. Bethany Adazada, Vivian L. Reese, all of them. They're all huge inspirations for me.
Ah, thank you, Brandon. You're an inspiration to me too. So, do you schedule your writing sessions or simply get to writing whatever you can, whenever you can find the time?
It's hard for me to schedule because I noticed that when I do schedule my actual writing sessions, it doesn't tend to go to plan. I'll just like sit there and not write a thing. But I do like I'll try to force myself to write if I can, you know what I mean, as much as I can. Usually, it's just whenever I can though. If I'm sitting there and it's like, all right, I'm gonna look at this until words come out. And if they don't, then they don't. But I'm going to get some words at least. I don't care whether it's 50 or 5,000. It's happening. It's gonna happen.
Do you type on a computer, a typewriter, write everything out by hand, or use a blend of those? And where do you write in general?
So I do a couple different things. I do type on a computer. I don't have a typewriter. I haven't seen a typewriter since I was a kid. So for like just stories and stuff, I definitely write on the computer. But if I need to take notes or something along those lines, sometimes if I have a notepad next to me, I'll write in that, or I'll put them all in my phone. That's usually what I do. That's usually the best way. But also, I used to write poetry, and I used to write music. And I never know, like maybe I'll get back into that. But that, for some reason, I always needed to write it down in a notepad and with pen, in a notebook. I had to. Something about writing poetry and music in a computer just never worked for me. Even when I write it in my notes on my phone, like it doesn't feel right. I gotta feel like the pen moving underneath my fingers, you know what I mean, and see the ink forming the words underneath me, even as horrible as my handwriting is. I had to. That's really odd, but yeah, it just depends on what I'm writing.
Personally, I prefer a computer. I cannot write to save my life on a piece of paper. My writing is terrible. But anyhow, what genre do you write in, Brandon?
I try to write in like every genre that I can. Usually, I'm probably gonna have at least some sort of romance in there. I like The Bed Between Us was a romantic comedy. My second book is a dark science fiction fantasy book, and book 3 is like a drama / mystery new adult book. You know what I mean? Like I'm like all over the place with everything. But I want to keep it in everything. Like I don't want to shy away too much from The Bed Between Us, the romantic comedy type of stuff. Once I start writing other stuff and getting it out there, like I definitely want, if somebody is really into romantic comedy, they're definitely going to be able to really see another story from me that they're really going to like. Or, maybe I hope to write books that are like very, very approachable from a wide audience, So like even if they aren't necessarily a romance fan, or they aren't a fantasy fan, or they aren't a drama mystery fan, like they could still pick up my book and they'll enjoy it, and it'll just it'll get them to read. That's what I hope to do, at least.
I'm sure you will. Are you a plotter or a pantser?
So I am definitely, I'm usually a pantser, but like The Bed Between Us, straight on pantsing to the core. I like to write to a certain point, and then if I need to stop and like take notes, then I will. But book 2, QLC, that I had to plot like the last half of the book. Like I really did. So I guess they call that a planter. I guess. So I think I'm definitely going to be by the seat of my pants for the most of my career. That's going to be me. But if I need to sit down and plot, like I will, I will outline. I will do it. It's going to be an ugly outline, but I'll at least do it. But I really, really do like and enjoy telling myself the story and letting me discover things on my own. And then later on fixing them, you know what I mean? Instead of writing a whole bunch of stuff and then, planning everything out from the get-go. I don't think there's anything wrong with that, and I actually think that's actually a better way to go than pantsing. But I am a pantser. I like to make things difficult for myself, so that's what I do. I'm a pantser.
I'm very similar. I plot, but I go with the flow of the novel until finally you can call me a planter. So, Brandon, are you self-published, traditionally published? I already know what you are, but how do you find self-publishing?
I'm a self-publisher, yes, and I don't have any problem with traditionally publishing. I think self-publishing is awesome, though. You make all the decisions yourself. I think that's really big for a person. You can make all the price decisions. You decide what your cover is going to be. All that stuff is really awesome. Like I said, I'm not against traditionally publishing at all. Like maybe one of my future books is going to be tried. I'm going to try and have it traditionally published instead of self-published. You never know. I'm open to it. You know what I mean? I'm not necessarily against it to the point where it's like, oh, I'm all self-published. Or once I become traditionally published, maybe I don't want to necessarily stay away from self-publishing either, even though it's probably going to be harder because you'll get advances and all that.
So The Bet Between Us appears to be doing really well, like really, really well. Tell us more about your book, but try not to read your blurb. I know that'll be difficult.
Yes, Bet Between Us is actually doing pretty well. To tell you basically what it's about without using the blurb, I would say it's a edgier take on the romantic comedy genre, in which, it's very inspired by movies like She's All That and 10 Things I Hate About You, other movies from like even the 80s and late 90s, early 2000s, stuff like that. But it's also, I really wanted a more realistic take on it. And I mentioned edgy earlier. I didn't realize that it was that edgy, but I started, like when people started coming to me, they were starting to say, yeah, it's got like a little bit of an edgier side to it. So it's like, okay, yeah, I feel you on that one. I'll definitely throw that in there. Because it's definitely not your like typical romantic comedy. It definitely is at heart, but it's not this, the characters feel more realistic. There's no, like in 10 Things I Hate About You, there's like this whole singing scene, and like nothing happens to the dude while he gets detention, and then Julia Stiles' character, she like flashes the teacher and like nothing happens to her. It's like that there are consequences for actions, like things like that, and there's just like things that don't make sense that's not in there. So like that's pretty much what I was going for with the book. But basically it's about this kid named DJ. He has a bit of things in his past that are causing him to act out, and he's always had a crush on Elena, and his friends bet him to try and get her to fall in love with him. And as the story goes on, you start to learn a lot about why his best friend did that to him, and you learn about why DJ is the way he is as well. And it just it causes a lot of issues for all the characters.
It definitely does. Definitely does, guys. So, Brandon, without giving too much away, Donald is a very sweet-natured boy underneath the exterior of being a player, because let's face it, he is a bit of a playboy. Quoting your blurb, when senior year starts, he's got a list of girls he wants to add to the growing number of notches on his headboard. Did you always want your main character to appear this way?
I always wanted DJ to come off as part of my language. I wanted him to come off as a cocky prick at first. Like, I remember even when I first started writing this book, the first person who read like the first 35 pages, I remember they were like, I like your book, but I don't like Donald. I don't like him at all, actually. And I was like, that's perfect. Like, I don't want you to like him that much. Like, maybe see a small slither of something that you do like, but overall you're just like, nah, this dude is trash. But yeah, he's supposed to come off as a cocky prick, like he's legit supposed to be an asshole, but it's all even, it's definitely meant to be that way. And then as the story goes on, you learn more about him.
Well, I'm a very good judge of character. So Brandon, what is your favourite part of the bet between us? Mine is obviously the love story you created in the book, and I think you even made me cry at some point. Like, honestly, I did. There was tears strolling down my face at one point.
My favourite part, see, that's hard without spoiling things. So, really, like, and you, that's crazy that you cried. Like, that's actually, like, really, that means the world to me. Like, not that I made you cry, but, like, that the story meant a lot to you, to cause you, to bring you to tears. That actually means a lot to me. But the favorite part is very hard to explain. There's the poker scene. There's the date. There's the Harvest Festival. There's just like a bunch of things that I really love in that book. Certain conversations that characters have with each other. But honestly, I think picking a favorite part is like, it's like kind of like making you pick between your favorite kid or something, man. It's like really hard. I'd say one of my favorite parts is actually just writing it and finishing it, and then actually getting to the editing stage. Like, that was actually super fun to do, and like having somebody read it and say their thoughts on it and where it could become better, become a more solid story. The characters could be better, the scenes could be fleshed out more. Like, that was so amazing. And then applying what they said and making it better, and like seeing it and reading it back, and I'm like, holy crap, this is a lot better. This book is so amazing. Just seeing the growth that book had from the first draft to where it is now as a published book is just awesome. Like, it's truly an amazing feeling. Like, that's probably my favorite part about it, for sure. Is the actual process of it growing and becoming what it is now. That's definitely probably number one.
So, bets are really harsh. I mean, if you make a bet with somebody that could potentially hurt somebody else, it's not very nice. They can be really cruel sometimes, and kids can be cruel, so I can understand where you're getting at with the story. Are you trying to give a message to those out there that are reading your book? I mean, surely you aren't saying that people should make bets about making people fall in love with them or even have sex with them. So, Brandon, what were you doing?
No, I'm not saying that at all. Another aspect to why I wanted it to be more realistic is I didn't want to hit anybody over the head with a message or the point of the story. But yeah, there's definitely, I kind of wanted it to show itself as being wrong automatically. And the thing I think people forget about teenagers is that we do stuff wrong all the time, and we know it's wrong, but we're doing it because it's fun, and we're doing it because it's wrong. Like, DJ knows these bets are wrong, and DJ knows, doing what he's doing is wrong, but it's the reason he was doing it that is what's the cause. Like, tons of people underage drink. It's like a thrill. Like, you're not supposed to be doing it, so you do it. You know what I mean? That's a huge aspect of it. It's not all people are like that, but I think, a huge amount of people that I knew growing up, they did it and they were huge into doing things that were wrong on purpose. That's definitely a big part of it. It's not supposed to be right. You're witnessing the growth of a character and characters, actually. But I'm definitely not saying you should bet that you can make somebody fall in love with you and, you know, manipulate them into doing it or anything like that. Like, nah, that's definitely not that's definitely not what you should be doing. You know, certain bets are cool and fun when nobody's getting hurt. You know, a fun bet is fine. And by that I mean, like, if my team wins, you have to wear their jersey or something like that. You know what I mean? Like, it's definitely that's as far as betting, as far as certain things should go. It wasn't supposed to be saying like, hey, you should bet people that you can hook up with others and all that. No, definitely not. That's definitely wrong. And like I said, like, that's a huge part of the story too, is that, like, you know, most of the characters knew what they were doing is wrong. Like, there's a character who steals something in the book, and he knew it was wrong, but he did it because he wanted attention, and, you know, his dad is a cop, so he felt like he was, like, sticking it to him and all that. So it's like it's very much it's very much, you know, like, there's obvious things in there that all the characters needed to learn from, and we all need to learn from from things that we go through in life. But yeah, it's not condoning the actions of those characters, especially early on in the book, for sure.
Thank you for clearing that up. Now, I absolutely loved your book, and truly, I can say it's one of my favourite reads, Brandon. You portray friendship and the build-up of Donald's and Elena's relationship so well, and their relationship is so authentic. Are you proud? Because I'm proud of you, and I hope you're proud of yourself. Or would you change anything? If so, what?
So that means the world to me. I'm so glad you love the book so much. Like, it's crazy to see, like, people reading the book and saying that they love it so much, and it's just, yeah, like, that means the world to me. For real, like, it really does. It's crazy. And I am proud. I don't think there's necessarily things that I would really go in and change, but there are things where I think about it, and even, like, after I finished it, it was totally meant to be a standalone book. Like, and it definitely is. Like, this isn't an announcement that The Bet Between Us Part 2 is coming out, but this is, like, there is definitely a thought of, like, certain things that certain characters go through that in the book that were only hinted at, and because it's meant to be DJ's story and you know, hugely Elena's story as well, but at the end of the day, it's mainly DJ's story. But throughout the whole The Bet Between Us, there are other things going on that I, you know, had other characters going through at that same exact time, but you can't know about it because it's a first-person perspective, and you are going on this ride with DJ. That's what I always loved about the first-person perspective. You know, you get very much more personal, I believe. But there's also, like, you know, the negatives to that is that you can't really go into the other characters and see how and what they're going through and how it affects them. So, to answer your question, no, I don't want to go in and change anything in The Bet Between Us, but if I were to ever write a sequel, there are things that I could definitely revisit and grow characters, and, like, I would really love to show the growth of DJ even more, and just to show, like, you know, the things that have affected these characters and how they became to be afterwards. And I do believe that other characters, you know, in the story have things that could you know, they could go through and people would be interested in finding out about. So, like I said, this isn't an official, like, announcement that a sequel to TBBU is coming out, but there has been thoughts out there that maybe I could work on something in the future, maybe.
Thank you for sharing, Brandon, and thank you so much for doing this. Would you like to add anything else to those watching and listening today?
Thank you for having me once again. Only thing I would really like to add is thank you for reading my book. Thank you for loving it. Anybody out there, if you're watching and you're an author, and you're still trying to like finish your first story, or if you're working on your second story or anything, doesn't matter. No matter where you are in the process, just keep going. Continue to become better, and just know that you will become better as you write, and you will come to a point where you will come to a point where just you start to really see how much better you've become. Cody. I know you want to play, buddy. You will see the growth. Just keep on pushing, keep on doing what you have to do. Like, just continue to grow. Don't give up. Because I regret the times, like I said earlier in this, when I said the off and on, the stop and go. Like, I wish I never stopped. I wish I just kept on going. And you should as well. Just keep going, never stop. There's going to be times where you're really frustrated, but that's just showing your growth and how much more you can do. You know what I mean? Like, you just keep going. And that's for real. And if you're a reader, keep on reading, man. Whether it's my book or not, like, just keep on reading. Keep on supporting Sophie. She's an amazing person. We have an amazing community here. That's pretty much it. Like, that's what I got.
Oh, Brandon, thank you. You're making me blush. So, ladies and gentlemen, that is Brandon Moore. And for those of you who haven't read The Bet Between Us, it is a complete must. Go and buy your copy now. This cover will not only look good on your bookcase, but you'll fall in love with the story told just like I did. Thank you guys for watching, and stay tuned for my next video. Comment below, follow me. If you're not already following me on Instagram, then it's @authorfahe. If you don't want to follow me on Instagram, then please subscribe and catch my latest videos, and I hope you enjoyed. Thanks guys. Bye.